There is anyway a big challenge for marketers to get trust with the CEO, because everything marketers do is about the future. And what do you say when someone comes to you, I know the future, right? You don't trust them. So a lot of CEOs do not trust that the marketers are spending their money well. And if you think about it, there are two types of marketers. There are the spenders, and they are very concerned with the execution of some advertising. And they're the value creators. Those are the people who are very keen to get bang for the buck. They're flexible, they are less fixated on the media. And the spenders are those who are creating the reputational issues. Building trust is anyway hard. We have too many spenders that are destroying the reputation of marketing. We need more value creators.
Interestingly, I think non-executives absolutely love talking about marketing because it's probably one of the most fun things that they do. Well, marketing investments need to be lined up against other investments in the business. And the good news is that the cases often, or my team make a very, very clear case. They can absolutely lay down, we spend this money, here are the business impacts, year 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Certainly if you look at companies that invest in marketing, from a top line perspective, there's a strong correlation there between the top line growth that they show in terms of revenue growth and what that means for profitability moving forwards, and the amount that they actually spend on marketing. An interesting example of this is if you look at the online companies, such as Money Supermarket, Go Compare, or your Rightmoves and your Zooplas. Yeah, they are now sort of one of the biggest categories of advertising spending on TV in the UK, if not the biggest. Why? Because they realise in order to actually grow, to attract audiences, they need to advertise to actually work. You can see companies there that very much are sort of advertising themselves as a new economy, still need to advertise in the old ways.
I think for marketers to make a case for business, for marketing spend, it's really important for them to understand that someone like a CFO or a CEO will be coming at it from a very holistic perspective. They will want to understand what the overall goals of the campaign are and what the expectations are in terms of delivery. So reference points in terms of success of prior campaigns, where we would expect to hit certain KPIs, for example, and ultimately what the campaign is intended to do for the business. Being able to communicate those clearly, concisely, and numerically is really, really important. I would expect them to be able to in some way quantify brand value, and that the brand value was supporting the long-term trajectory of the business.
Marketers, they are the voice of the customer. They're the ones that are driving future revenue. The finance department is looking at the existing value of the organisation. The stronger relationships the marketing department has with the finance department, commercial departments and strategic departments, the better.
It's really important for the finance person to understand, for example, that it may be important to take a risk at certain times to ensure that we can push the brand further, slightly outside the boundaries, and balancing that really fine line between, is this campaign edgy enough, risky enough, brand defining enough, with what do we expect the return to be, I think is a skill. And the balance is best achieved by finance and marketing working really closely together.
The most important thing marketers could do to address the trust issues in the C-suite, and in fact also in reality the effectiveness issue, is to work in what I would call the value creation zone. And that means the work they're doing matters for customers, but also doing work that is seen valuable in the C-suite, that is matching the priorities of the CEO. And 57% of marketers aren't aligned with the C-suite. They're admitting this themselves. Well, then, we cannot fix this issue. So the most important thing marketers need to do is to be in the value creation zone, do work that matters for customers and for the company.
One difficulty you're having at the moment, if you look at the tenures of chief marketing officers, they tend to be relatively short. The average period is somewhere around 3 years altogether. That creates a bit of a problem because you get this rapid churn. You can get effectively sort of a new CMO coming in, suddenly there's a change of priorities, and that reduces the consistency you get across the operations.
think when you're considering marketing effectiveness, you'll be looking at a relationship between the spend and the revenue that's generated and ultimately the profitability. The expectations for those would be different depending on what the ultimate goal was of a particular campaign.
In an environment at the moment where essentially what you've got is a lot of big companies are under pressure from shareholder activists, everything comes under focus and everything has to be justified from that. So from a marketeer's standpoint, the more evidence that they can show that what they're doing actually works and it contributes to the bottom line of a company, then the more influence they will have.
If marketers aren't seen as delivering profitable revenue, what are they then? Their cost. And rightly so, costs should be reduced. That's what CEOs do. So marketers have no choice but to be seen as creating profitable revenue. Get in bed with the devil, work with finance and do the numbers jointly. It's very important, and show the revenue. Secondly, when marketers go into senior meetings and talk about millennials and attribution, segmentation, people are losing their will to live. Because why would they care? They care about revenue. So when you go into a senior executive meeting, you want budget, you want priorities, you talk revenues, customers, profit. Very simple.